boy. I can probably like amp myself
You
up a
can
little
be
bit.
baby if you want to, Jenk. I would
Yay!
just prefer that you be louder, baby.
Okay, that's fair. I
Be
could also,
louder,
in
baby.
theory, be louder.
I mean, I don't know if you want to increase the input from your mic or the input from your lungs.
I feel firmly like the easier of the two is the mic.
Well, it's not
For
always
like,
about easy.
oh yeah.
It's not always about easy.
It's one of those things where, like, in my
When
real
I
world.
want you, I want you to be louder, baby.
Oh man,
Jenk, can you be louder for me?
anything for you.
I do have that effect on people.
In my like real world job, I have to be very boisterous and like a very effective presence in the real world. So I tend not to be in my private life because it's just,
Well, yeah.
you're
I
doing
mean,
it all day.
you have a work persona to maintain.
Right. And that's a whole different person.
Is it now?
And
You don't say.
speaking of work peoples, guess who is no longer going to be working soon? The world's saddest turtle.
Wait, what?
Yeah, didn't you hear Mitch McConnell? No
Oh,
longer employed.
oh. Well, all right. For a given value of soon.
Yeah. Listen, I take the wins where we can get them. Honestly.
Oh, word. Like when one of these ghouls is like, "Oh, I'm no longer gonna like
Gonna be ghouling.
I'm going to let my cold dead hands release the rifle."
Oh God.
When one of them says that, cuz here's the thing. You don't really know if they mean it. They might just say it to see what happens. Like think about Brett Favre, like being like, I'm probably gonna retire from the Packers. No, wait, no, no,
Not
no,
this year.
no, no, no. But I'm probably really gonna retire for sure. I'm I'm so gonna retire. Well, I'm gonna retire next year. No, I'm a retire now. I'm a retire now. Well, I'm thinking about retiring.
Listen, if I
So,
was getting
but
paid
I mean,
multiple
like
millions of
Mitch,
dollars, I guess I would too.
how? But like, if you want to really break it down, like, how different is Mitch McConnell from Brett Favre?
I'm going to say that Mitch McConnell does, on average, more damage than Brett Favre.
Well, you know all about the Medicaid fraud thing, right? Or not Medicaid fraud. State money intended for people that got nothing fund.
Is this a Brett Favre crime?
Favre, you know.
Favare?
That's Favare. No, so no shit. Like, here's what was going on in Mississippi. Um, I've got somebody asking why I'm not responding to them, so hold on. Like, riff a little bit on Mississippi or something
On Mississippi?
until I can come back to this
I don't know
conversation.
nothing about Mississippi. Except that they like. I just straight up, they like vowels way too much. There's way too many vowels in that. I don't trust a single state that has more vowels in it
There's a
than I
lot
can
of
count.
S's and P's though, too. There's a lot of S's and P's. Don't put it all in the vowels, Jenk.
I don't know if that's doing them any favors here. Like S is a very shady letter to begin with. I'm just saying. I'm not like
Why's it
racially
got to be
skewed.
the S's?
I'm not like racially
Why's it got to
skewed
be?
or
Why
anything,
are
but
you hating on S's, Jenk?
listen,
Like, I mean, I don't know. Do you have some sort of alphabet where, like, your
Listen,
S's don't work right,
those
and you're
S's,
jealous of good S's.
those
Is
S's are
is
just
that what you're
making,
saying?
they're making choices, bad choices all the time to not stay at home with their
Everybody got
families.
choices. Yeah, well, I mean, because the reality is, if he hadn't stolen that money for his little pet project and his personal enrichment and other people's, if he hadn't engineered a boondoggle, right? If he hadn't, it's like Voltaire said about God. Like,
God
if
was
he
gonna do it.
hadn't done it, like someone would have had to have made that shit happen anyway. Oh, what up? LG is apparently in the house.
In the
What are
house.
you guys doing?
Oh shit.
What are you doing?
Nothing. I was just kicking it. Yeah, that guy. I'm trying to think who that is because I put in about 10 of them in the big chat. At the same time.
Oh, okay, LG, I just want you to realize that nobody has any idea what you're talking about because there are 3 people in this chat right now.
That's true.
You're one of them, Jenk is one of them, I'm one of them. So you're like, that guy?
It's deep
That
lore.
guy could be any swinging dick in the universe, LG.
Right.
It's true.
It's deep lore. It like I'll say this now, and then later, like somebody will be like, they'll be like, well, who the fuck? And then later, if they're in the big chat, they'll be like, I wonder whoever that guy was. And then like later, like
Well, no, I know
way
exactly what you're doing, but here's the thing. If you just cold open, you know that guy without the previous thought context, we're not going to know what guy, dude. We're not going to know what guy.
okay. So I rammed about 10 people in the big chat.
Yes. Yes, you did. I threw in at least one more. Yay. We're
That
up to
at least one of them that has a check, but I think it's one
No,
from
I'm
like
mad about the check, dude. I started some controversy about that. I want to cancel blue checks. I'm a cancel culture fanatic.
I just got back.
It's terrible, and I need to go to a re-education camp. But continue.
I just got back from doing a bunch of shit. Let me go see. Hold on. Let me go see. Let's see
Oh yeah,
if there
blue
was.
checks
We
are a
got
Twitter thing,
82 people up in that fucking chat.
Yeah.
82.
It needs 28 more. No, it needs 18 more. It needs 8 more. It needs 18 more people.
Well,
Needs-
yeah. I mean, to get to the next magic number, but like
and then it needs to increase in
apparently.
increments of 69.
Well, we got once we got past the sex number, nice. The next one is a century. We're doing Century Club.
There's
Um,
somebody in there is the 69th one, but I forgot who they are. That was about.
they probably
we-
left by now anyway.
Does that mean
we
you
did
don't
make
get to be
it
the
before,
69th
but
one?
they probably could leave. I know I put a specific 69th one in there, but it's true. It's entirely
No,
possible.
I remember it, but here's the thing. It was so funny because it's like we got to 69, we were like, yay! And somebody else who had been added like in the last, couple days or whatever was just like, oh God. And they like just noped out.
Well, that also is part of the deep lore. Like they're supposed to go, okay, after that, they're supposed to mention it. They're supposed to be like, oh, that's that awful huge group chat or whatever when it comes up. And then like anybody they say that to, like they can't just take their really how awful is it? Like, because if you just go in there, that guy says you can go in there and look around and see how awful it is.
This was all a plan.
That's
This was all planned.
Oh yeah, yeah.
This motherfucker over here is the Benny Gesserit of fucking Fucking Discord chat groups. You're like planting decade-long plans in the making, just so that there's
but,
deeper lore to be had.
but for good though, for good.
Yeah, sure.
Not for evil, not for evil like these fuckers that the one guy in the chat ran. The one guy in the chat found some stuff on Blue Sky that was amazing that I can't even bring up right now because this set is Friday night. It's Saturday. It's th- it's Friday night. We're chilling. We're having a good time. It's whatever night it is.
It's Friday.
I only know that I don't have
It's
to go to
March
work.
1st, actually.
Oh yeah.
It really is. At least where I am.
Oh shit. I guess it was. I
Well,
wrote that.
not was. It still is for another hour and 19 minutes.
Yeah, I definitely wrote that down today, and I was still kind of surprised when I thought about it. Probably wrote that about 200 times. Okay, it doesn't look like you just doesn't look like you just burned this motherfucker to the ground here.
Who what? Who are you talking to, LG?
I went to go check and see how bad the controversy was.
Controversy about what?
The blue check controversy.
Where?
Over on the
Blue Check
horrible blue check
website.
website. It just asked me to review my email. Is that still your email address? No. Is it? Yeah, that's correct. Fucking Twitter.
Wait. So, wait, are you talking about the now butterfly fucking place, or are you talking about Twitter?
No, I was talking about Twitter. I did some crazy shit over there earlier, though. That thing, it's different in a lot of ways.
Okay, well then, if you were doing crazy shit earlier, LG, could you please fill the rest of us in?
Well, that place, we'll go over there and we'll plug the show, and there's some cool people that don't use Twitter anymore that did go over there, so I'll go over there sometimes. But it'll only ever have the utility of Twitter once Twitter doesn't exist, right? Which is a very real possibility. So I suppose that's always hovering beyond the veil of possible events, is that Twitter melts down, it's gone completely, it's gone forever. And then Blue Sky, that would be it. It would be it that day. But currently over there is weird stuff going on.
Really?
Everybody
I never would have
yeah.
guessed.
Well, the thing is that everybody that left first, everybody that was like, no, I'm never using the big shit site ever again. It's not anybody that is plugging a thing. So if you're plugging a thing, then you will occasionally use the shit site, because you.
I mean, I'm not privileged enough to pull that off all the way. I'm going to be very honest about that. And not for nothing, you're addicted to that shit, LG. Neither are you. Jank's the only one of us that's pure.
Yeah. When I have time to
as pure as someone who's on TikTok can be.
It's true.
Yes.
It's true. It's terribly true.
But when I do have time to work on the shows, I use it a lot, and in the course of using it a lot, you're gonna see all that shit. Nobody is, there's nobody is having a clean interaction with that thing unless you pay somebody to do it. There's a lot of big celebrity accounts where they use it to squeak out a few more numbers on whatever it is, but they don't get on there. They pay somebody to use that shit. Maybe some medium time and small time and medium large time kind of comedians maybe use Twitter occasionally, but they'll put one or two serious posts out there. It'll be horrible, and then they'll go back to writing comedy most of the time and occasionally posting a joke on there. If you use that thing at all, you're gonna see all that shit. I don't know. It's really bad, but it's not as bad as some of the stuff that I saw on Blue Sky, because in the total absence of of Nazi pedophiles. Like,
That's we're starting out strong here. Okay, in the
well,
absence of
you
that thing.
if there's no Nazi pedophiles, you start thinking, well, like, all right,
See,
there's
I
no
keep
antagonist.
forgetting that I'm muted
Oh,
because I'm
no.
doing other shit, and I'm over here being like, wait, what? Seriously? Shut the fuck up. What? And then you're like getting ready to go on to the next thing. Wait, so there's an absence of Nazi pedophiles.
Yeah, there's no
Is
Nazi
that what you're
pedophiles.
saying?
Yeah, I did not see a single Nazi pedophile on Blue Sky yet.
Really?
Not one time.
I mean, because the thing is, I make a point of staying in the nice corners of these places.
Mhm.
Blue Sky, God bless it. There's like this plant feed that I'm part of.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
can
and
actually
like
do
some of
that.
those other like way better than like dipshit hashtag things. Like you can just be like, all right, I would like to be on this list.
Right.
And then you get on it, and if you want to put things to the other people on that list, you put a little symbol up.
Yeah, the actual functionality of the thing is really good.
It fucking works.
I didn't actually. Mine was pretty similar of an experience until I did what I did today, which is somebody told me to go look at an account, and I did that for the first time ever. Like I went over there and I typed something into the little like, okay, I'm gonna go look at this, and then I saw the untold horrors. But it's untold horrors in a way that exists. Okay, so first of all, you look around, you notice there's no Nazi pedophiles, and that's not even going to come up. Even if you put a bunch of Pepe Groper shit into the search box, it's not going to come up anyway because they're not there. There's nothing. There's nothing for them to do there except post one time and immediately get banned for being Nazi pedophiles because of the way the thing's moderated. The guys that are moderating it are aggressively enforcing a "this is not Twitter" type policy. So of course you can't have any Nazi pedophiles, which is the main identifying feature of Twitter, is a small cluster of open Nazi pedophiles, and then most of the other users of the website being either a Nazi or a pedophile or both, but like less aware that they are. Maybe they still think they're like liberals or whatever.
Is it kind of like um when you're really fucking racist, but you just mostly keep your mouth shut,
Yeah.
and then you see a bunch of like really like over the top, obscenely racist people just showing their asses and
Yeah.
just being terrible, and
And then you get like your stink face
nobody
on.
really stops it. So
Right.
you're like, oh, well, comparatively,
Yeah.
I don't have a racist bone in my body, and you get to feel
Yeah.
superior about it and still
Yeah.
be shitty.
You stand there and you make a never Trump Republican face at those chud idiots. You stand there and be like, well, if that's what young right wingers are like, then I'm some kind of respectable conservative or liberal then. I'm not a Nazi
You
pedophile.
quote tweet it with, "This is terrible."
Yeah. Maybe you put a laugh emoji if it's like, an 8 out of 10 Nazi thing to say. This is terrible. And then if it's like a 10 out of 10 Nazi thing to say, then you don't put a laugh emoji because you're serious. But like so you're not going to see any of that shit over there anyway. So then you get to thinking, well, it, what is the most villainous, horrible right wing bullshit that would be allowed on a site that was first embraced and in turn is now moderated by a sort of like, it's a strain of rad lib that all seems to believe that they're like, I don't know, the perfect crystallized final form of leftism, which is fine. I mean, it makes sense what any insular, group of alienated people that have some left wing beliefs, you can cram them into a space like that, especially on the internet. What's going to happen? It's like chemistry. It's like math at this point, right? Like of course that's how they are, which would be fine. But I don't know. It's like it's some kind of, if there's no Nazi pedophiles to be the villains, then most of the post subjects kind of seem to be about like, well, then who needs to get booted off this shit next? Which, I mean, predictably, like, okay, it's going to mirror Twitter or any other social media site, right? What you're going to want is you're going to want to create a totally safe, free love utopia by removing all of the sex pests and weirdos and red flag toxic people, right? Like that's your next move, right? There was no Nazi pedophiles here to begin with, so what are we going to do to create a perfect online experience where we can disconnect from our horrifying lives and responsibilities in the purest, most honest, most utopian way possible, right? And it seems to be that if you make the mistake of trying to just regular socialize on there and not do what we've been doing, which is, look at cool plants or look up people that you know already. It seems that if you make the mistake of trying to do either one of those two things, like it's rough out there. You're gonna say about two things, and then you're either gonna be vetted, uh, uh, thumbs up or thumbs down pretty rapidly. And I just wonder, if that's going to be a thing after Twitter goes away, because Twitter goes away and that thing's still around. Everybody's going there. That's what's happening. I used to go to clubs every night, and people would be talking about going to another club at 2 when this one closes. It wasn't any good. Nobody liked it. The music sucked. Everybody's talking about how they didn't really want to go there. But this one's going to close at 2.
And we're
So
not
that's
done
the only
yet.
one. Yeah, that's the only one that's open. Okay. And then, oh, lo and behold, oh no, this is closing down at 1. Nobody has plans. Nobody has after parties. Well, guess what the fuck's going to happen then?
Everyone is going to the place that closes at 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was
That's
a
what they want.
particular place on the outskirts of the main town around where I grew up.
Yeah.
It was like just over like the city township line or something. They closed at 2. Everything in town closed at 1. So like,
Yeah, they have to be
so
in a joint.
just after last call in town, people would mysteriously move to an undisclosed location.
Yeah.
I wonder where everyone is going.
Yeah. Yeah. They could be terrible. They could scream in your face and slam down a fucking shot half water in front of you and tell you to get the fuck out after you drink it, and they'd still be in business. They could be terrible. There's no standard. It's the one that's still open, so there's no like if Twitter shuts down, that's where everybody's going. And it made me curious tonight, like, okay, when that happens, the guys that run the Blue Sky are going to have a choice. They can either accept millions of users for no reason, or they can just turn everybody away and be like, no, this is still invite only, and we're not trying to have a super giant profitable website. I don't,
They're
I
not
don't know.
invite only anymore. They're open. They went.
Yeah,
They're open. You
that's my
don't.
problem.
And it's kind of cute because I have an account there. So I go in there and it's like, oh, you've got 5 invites that you've been trying to get rid of like fucking forever.
Yeah.
Because everybody that was cool that you already knew, you already distributed that, and then you like distributed it to your network of cool people,
Yeah.
and that was a while ago.
Mhm. We all went over there. We staked out our fucking handle, and that we did that part.
And
And we gave our codes to the people we wanted to go over there.
Yeah. Anyway, it's public now, but your account still tells you you've got these invites. Like,
That's funny.
eat up that processing space for something, man. Or like, I don't know, give me a cool point for making it to public with 5.
I honestly think they know.
You know, like,
because
I mean, is that where we're going with this? Oh, well, I don't know. Either I'm so cool or I'm so not cool
it did
that
it,
I didn't
it
run
did,
out of them. Like, I
no,
I'd always err on the
is
side
it a
of you being too
personality
cool.
trait? Like, is it like an astrological sign? How many invites did you have when it went public? Like, I'm sure there's some
Is Mercury in
pedant on there.
retrograde?
I'm sure there's some pedant on there who is so like just thrilled by being one of the people that like got to be there early and delights in going around telling everybody else all the rules about like how they're supposed to act.
I saw some incredibly fucked up shit tonight. I'll say that yes, you're
Yeah.
correct.
Are you detecting lies? There are those people.
There's no
Um,
lies detected.
I am sure that some of those people might have feelings about like what happens now that like legacy has gone away.
Yeah.
It's not in beta anymore. Everyone is, you know, so any player can come in now. We really do have to set the tone.
Yeah. I got bad news for the tone setters. But
Here come the
Ye
tone
new
setter,
people.
murderer.
I'm pretty sure that a thing that definitely happened was that in the late 80s and early 90s, when it was clear that the internet was going to just become a public good that everyone used, I recall some people saying that it was going to be bad if it wasn't nationalized in any form, if it was all privately owned buried cable and private platforms. I remember, somebody was telling everybody that. It's probably the same motherfuckers that tell everybody that about every kind of new technology, every kind of new cool thing that, is just going to be a public good. It's probably somebody telling everybody not to privatize it every time that happens. But anyway, I don't think anybody listened to the fuckers that said, to represent something that we were all going to use in a nationalized, responsible way that we all shared and took care of. I don't recall that happening. I think what happened was, and this is going to be unfortunate for the tone setters and the early adopters and the special boys. The thing that happened is that it's all private, and if those guys never want to update it again, to their credit, they did update it one time when Twitter was doing really bad about a month ago. They slapped a nice fresh coat of paint on that thing. And it's a nice website, and I've been having a good time using it a very specific way. But they did update it that one time, but I don't think they may never update it again. They don't think it's going to make any money. Or now that Twitter has stabilized as an entirely bot-supported platform, and looks like Twitter might have a little life left in it, just run as a robot that talks to itself. There's not really been a lot of updates or anything. Like Juniper just said, just still send you invite codes. Weird. Maybe flip that switch off. Maybe start working on other stuff, like be
Isn't
able to
that all
post a
Twitter is
fucking video.
anymore? Is it just the robot that talks to itself now?
Yeah, it's like, okay, somebody will post an ad,
Okay.
which they'll buy. And then there's like 20 identical robots underneath the ad going, wow, super cool, awesome. Like they're all Elon Musk
Wow, super cool.
for like 2 pages
Oh
of just
man,
bots going, super cool.
that'd be super cool.
That's what Twitter is now. And it'll
Rolling
run like,
sideways laughing emoji.
yeah, it'll run like that forever, I think, just because of the ghost of the idea that there was people on it once. And you'll still get Google hits that go to like, drill tweets or whatever.
Nice.
But yeah, I think
See,
Twitter could
I do like the idea of being the fly in the ointment.
Yeah.
The flointment. Everyone loves a good flointment.
The flointment. The flointment, Jerry.
That's flointment, Jerry.
You gotta have the flointment.
fucking.
But no shit, like seriously, because I don't know how each of you use your social platforms.
I don't. There you go.
We've already established
Acknowledge
your own
that
tic
one.
tac jank.
You
Did I
can
just
do.
say tic tac?
Yeah, it's the old
The,
tic tac.
the
The
grandkids.
tic tacs. The kids are into the tic tacs.
The grandkids showed me a funny tic tac.
All those tic tacs. It can't be good for the kids. Like, how much sugar are they eating?
There's not that much
They
sugar
make
in the tic tac. It's fine.
They make those tic tacs in China.
They do make
Can't
those
be
tic
good.
tacs in China.
But it's not even about the sugar. It's gonna rot their teeth.
It is definitely gonna rot their teeth
It's gonna rot their teeth.
and their brains.
Too much
Well,
tic
who
tac.
cares about the brains? We already spent all the money on the braces for their teeth.
They're just mints. Tic Tacs are just mints. You're just supposed
they're
to have
good
one at
for
a time.
you. They're good for you.
You're not
It's
supposed.
fine.
You're just supposed to. Yes, it's good for you if you just have one at a time. You're not supposed to dump the whole container in your mouth. Go back to the store, buy more Tic Tacs. These kids and their Tic Tacs. But no, yeah, it's that's gonna happen is either they're gonna quit working on that thing forever and make money doing something else because you got to make money, or I don't know, maybe they're born rich and they'll do some other rich guy shit, or they're gonna wait for Twitter to shut down, and then as soon as Twitter shuts down, spend some meager amount on it from having a million users all of a sudden one day, do basic updates and then leave forever, as we have discussed on many shows. This show, Mindful Wellness, Dick Proles, other shows. We discuss on every show we go on at some point. We discuss the fact that what you do is you start a website or a service or some kind of app or something, and then you proceed to just not ever work on it the fuck ever. And people are going to continue to use it, and they're going to publish like creative hacks about how to like use it even though it sucks, and like drive engagement for you and stuff. We've hit this many times. It's gonna happen with Blue Sky like it happens with everything else. We should enjoy it while it lasts. And for people that make stuff, if Twitter shuts down, we need to go plug our stuff over there the next day until there's a new thing and go plug our stuff there. But it's where you're gonna have people see your stuff and also work with you on your stuff that you meet, because they're also plugging their stuff. That's where we're gonna go. We're gonna go to that thing because that's good. But you can take any of these things. You can take any of these things. You can make yourself an acceptable feed where you just look at cool stuff and just hang out with cool people. It can be done, but again, like the people that the early adopters, the special boys,
The real special boys.
if there's not any Nazi pedophiles around for them to report all the time, then they're going to start looking for somebody slightly less terrible than a Nazi pedophile. And, they're going to get rid of all them, and they're going to keep looking until they find you. Doesn't matter where you fall on the terrible scale between nice person and Nazi pedophile. They're just going to keep looking until they find you, because what they really like to do is just filter users on and off of the website. It's what they really like to do. Is they like to do the same thing you and me and everybody else does. They like to scroll through a feed and look at people. They just think about it all the time, and they just think about how if only the feed only showed them the right people, then they would be happy finally. And
It would fix everything.
Yeah. Folks, I'm going to give you a hint. Your old pal Christopher Gadsden is he's against that. That's why in Mindful Wellness we let a bunch of assholes come in there. We're going to do it as long as we
hold
can.
on, hold on. You just said we at Mindful Wellness are against what? Because I mean, you can say what you want, babe, but like I'm.
We're against a feed or an app or a social media experience in which one filters out 100% of people that you want to filter out. I'll take a strong 75. You know?
Yes, we 100% support that.
Yeah. I'll take a
100%.
strong. I'll take. Okay. Let's say you've already read all of the Nazi pedophile posts, for example, like me. I've read all of them. So
It's
I've
weird actually how much of all of them have been read.
and it was just the same thing over and over. It was the same three things,
Really was.
100 million times. So having done that, I'm qualified, I think, to not have to have Nazi pedophiles in my shit if I don't want to right then. But I'm not gonna cut down below like a 75%. I'm not gonna go looking for like, boomer right wingers or whatever and be like, fuck this guy. 'Cause they still say some astonishing shit sometimes. Like I'm not gonna go kill off all the fucking blue wave liberal those guys, man. Some of those guys still have donut emojis in their fucking display names. I want to
I
watch
look at
them.
it I look at it kind of like this. Um, let's say I'm going to walk out my door and I'm going to go get on the subway. I'm going to go to work.
All right, okay.
Now, in my personal preference, would I prefer that every single person within hearing distance shut the fuck up?
Yeah,
Would I
definitely.
prefer that?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
yeah, sure.
I'm gonna admit to that. And do I sometimes think really unkind thoughts about the people that make noise when I'm on that journey? Oh, sure as shit I do.
Yeah.
I sometimes think really nasty shit about them. Do I think that they should be prevented from being in public and existing and making noise?
Again, yes.
Well,
Honestly,
Jank.
June, we could just cut the whole thing. We could just call it a yes across the board.
Well, no. But the thing is, um, who's deciding? Who's deciding?
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
I
there's
mean, we all know that, like, if I were allowed to really embrace my mantle as Empress of the Universe, like, and really just stretch out my leathery wings and just flex them and stare my laser eyes and be like, start the procedure.
yeah.
That would be great. But the problem is that that's not the reality that we inhabit.
Right.
And if we start agreeing, yeah, let's make everybody that I want to shut up. What happens when you are no longer the one who's deciding, what side of the shut up line you're on?
It was a good run while I had it.
Yeah. Mhm.
Fair.
Folks, we've
You're
got bad
entitled to your opinion. You can have
got bad
feelings.
we got bad news for everybody. The bad news is, even though old people believe that they got rid of the real Nazis, folks, we have terrible news. The thing is, it seems like that us, for the rest of the time that we're alive, our children, and possibly also their children's children, are going to be spending some amount of their time needing to be able to dunk on the things that Nazi pedophiles say. Whether or not those Nazi pedophiles are teenagers on the internet, or the police chief of your town, or a congressman, or the guy that owns the
Or
business.
sometimes both.
Yeah.
The chief of police and his piece of shit son.
Yeah, all of the things. It seems to me that terrible news, terrible news, that our project of leftism seems to be going not as poorly as it could be, but at the very least so poorly that I would say it could be 100 years that people are going to have to know how to dunk on a motherfucker when he starts saying some shit that is right wing or that is Nazi. Now, it's not going to work every time. Sometimes you're still going to get thrown in the cop car. Sometimes you're still going to get, gerrymandered. Sometimes you're still going to get sent to go kill a bunch of brown people. It's not going to work every time. But it's the only thing we can do. Sometimes they get scared that they're getting dunked on by enough peasants that somebody might do something to one of them. And that occasionally does stay their hand on some kind of horrible thing they want to do. Not permanently, but, you don't have to worry about permanently. You'll be dead soon. You're just trying to set your kid up a little better and their kid up a little better, It just seems like dunking on Nazi pedophile shit is a thing that you're going to need to do. And if you never, ever, ever see any Nazi pedophiles or liberals or conservatives that are some part Nazi, some part pedophile, or some part both, but believe that they're not, if you never run into any of these people,
You won't know how to
you're going to forget how to dunk. Yeah, it's gone.
You
It's just
forget how to respond because you're so stunned when
Mhm.
when you encounter it in the wild. You're like, they said what?
Yeah, holy shit. Like,
You spend all your time telling other people, well, he said this.
yes.
It does make it a lot easier. Can I admit something terrible to both of you?
Sure.
I used
Yeah.
to listen to conservative talk radio, not because I was ever particularly conservative, obviously, but like it felt
It's
like a
fun
cheat
sometimes.
code.
Yeah.
I
mhm.
was very
Oh,
like
oh yeah.
involved in the political scene in my college, and like
Yeah. There you go.
they just
They basically
regurgitated.
they tell you their playbook.
Yes. And
They just tell you.
it was
Okay,
so
like
straightforward.
this
I
is how we're
had their
gonna break after the huddle.
yeah,
And
Mhm.
so they do all that shit,
it was perfect.
but also when it comes to the entertainment format that they are running, they are so fucking on point.
Yeah, they were
Oh, yeah,
much
yeah.
better.
They're
than
so good at it.
Sure, without
Yeah.
Ah!
But they
It's
were
infuriating. It's infuriating how good they are at it, but I really do have to hand it to them.
it made it almost comically easy to dunk on them because they would just be like there was not a single original thought. They would
No.
just regurgitate. It was
Right.
yeah, like it was like hey, I was driving in the morning and I heard what they were going to say in the morning and I had like 8 solid hours to think about a proper response. And then the
You,
evening would
you know,
come and all of my shitty coworkers would be like, "Hey, don't you believe that the Mexicans are invading?" And I'd be like, "Why do you believe this?" Like, well, that's what they're talking about on the news.
yeah, the news. It was the news for a long time. Fox likes it a little stealthier now, but I suppose a lot of people still would just think the news. Onan still pretty big, but it's incredible. You know what? A lot of them can only go in one direction. A lot of them can only go from being a politician to being an entertainer, if they're good at it, or go from being an entertainer to being a politician if they're bad at it. There was only one golden child that was ever born to the Republican Party that could freely travel in both worlds, which was of course Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan, who wrote the welfare queen bit for his radio show, for his podcast, long before he was president. And Jank, as you know, since you studied this material, the welfare queen bit plays a lot on today's conservative media.
It
It
does
plays
a
a
lot.
lot.
Way more than you'd think it would for being clearly not true
Yeah, Ronnie
40
wrote
years
that bit.
ago.
Ronnie wrote that bit, and he went on to be the president. And when he was the president, his brain started to fall apart. So he relied upon his abilities as an entertainer, as a podcaster,
It's amazing.
to
So
Well,
you say all of this to
Nancy and
tell us
I
that you
were.
were planning on running next year? LG?
No, he did. He did. That's what he did. But so he's the true golden child. But all the rest of them,
And
like, okay, there's some
both of
good
you
examples.
know about the hot mic missile incident, right?
Which one is it?
Is that the one where the erotic dancer named Mike had a missile incident? The hot Mike
Hot.
missile incident?
Hmm.
He comes out dressed as an ICBM, and he's got like a giant rocket in his cock.
A giant ICBM appears. A woman bursts out, and out spills 5,000 pounds of jelly bellies. Oh. No, but like, so and here's the thing. I was basically a fetus. Like, I wasn't like politically aware.
Right.
But I remember hearing about it later and like vaguely remembering things in the news about it. I don't have all
Yeah.
the details to mind. Some Google foo keyboard warrior, please look this shit up for me. So Reagan was gonna be given like a speech or a statement or some shit.
He was
Um
he was doing a podcast. He
and
was gonna play the welfare queen bit for all of his fans.
oh yeah, no, he was getting ready to do a live cast.
Yeah, he was gonna play the welfare queen bit, and he was gonna play. I think he did a lot of foreign policy bits, but they're forgettable. They're not.
I mean, like it wasn't his best album.
Right.
But here's the thing, like this live version he was doing in the riffs leading up to when like the actual recording was supposed to start. He was mic'd up, and I don't remember what station or channel or whatever like actually broadcast it, but you know, he was being funny, making a little joke, and he's like, you know, something like, here's a message to the USSR, the bombing begins in 5 minutes, and just like cracking up like you do when you're the guy that like could actually fucking do that.
Right. Like how
and
you know,
and unintentionally broadcasting that, because that was just supposed to be him and his buddies
like
making
how
some jokes, not on the air yet.
like how like how right when we're about to push the button, we always just to make it fun, if we're about to push the button and start recording or broadcasting on a podcast, we all sit around and we try to be the last person who can explicitly say that we're going to dox and gang stalk every person that comes in the show or watches the
Right, right, right,
kind of like how
right.
we do that. That's our version of that. I was trying to think of something more dangerous that we could be talking about doing right before we push the button, but there really isn't anything. There's really no way to beat old Ronnie at this game. He pretty
No,
much
yeah,
did
he's
did
got
the
Like, I
the
worst
mean,
thing.
campaign.
the thing
He did.
is, he's gonna rest in piss, you terrible, horrible, no good, very bad. I'm not even sure if you're a human being.
Yeah,
But,
he lived a full life.
but,
He got to
but
almost get everybody
he
killed at
was
least
a
that one time.
fucking master of his form.
Mhm.
Like, he was Alzheimer'd as fuck and
Yeah,
still pulling it off.
yeah. He
Like a
still knew.
good 75% of the time.
Yes, he still knew it would be funny to get everybody accidentally killed. That's why he was telling that joke and they were laughing about it. He still knew that would be funny because it would be funny as shit. And that shows a sharp, acumen for humor still persisted in those old bones right there. Because that would have been funny as shit, honestly. But no, so he's the only one that can go back and forth and go both ways. You got your guys that can't. You got the vice president. You got that forgettable, fucking stupid plastic homophobe fucking weirdo.
Joe Biden.
You got yeah, no, well, okay, that one. But then you got the one I'm thinking of. The one I'm thinking of was a right-wing radio talk show host. And he was
That's right. That's right. The other one.
Michael. No, Mike Pence. Yeah, Mike Pence. Okay.
Penn and Teller fame.
So when Michael Pence is the vice president, his whole bit was that he was like this gargoyle like wife guy or something that like lived in a cage at his wife's house, and like they had some kind of like weird Christian dom thing going on.
That's just listen, that is just sparkling CBT. That's all that is.
Yeah.
That's the Christian version of it. It's CBT.
Wait a minute, because here's the thing, when I hear CBT, I think cognitive behavioral therapy.
And that is what you
But
should
the way
continue
you
to
say
think.
that makes me think that you mean something else.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't recommend plugging that into Google or anything. I'm just going to leave it at that.
You're saying there's more than one meaning for CBT?
I can think of at least one other meaning.
Wait, so you mean all this time I've been walking around telling people I'm a fucking CBT expert, and
it's entirely possible that 1 out of every 100 people, yes.
Yeah. And in fairness to you, you might be correct on both counts.
undoubtedly.
You're a talented woman.
But it certainly explains the responses I've received from some people I mentioned that to. I'm gonna have to take a moment to think about that, and also scroll back through some texts.
Folks, we love an organic bit. We love to have a good time. We love to just make up a bunch of stupid bullshit. That's what's fun to us. But it's not fun to conservative podcasters or radio hosts or politicians or whichever one that they are. It's not fun to them at all. They like to play the hits. They like to shoot red meat out of a cannon into the fucking slavering maws that are snapping open and closed in the front row all night long, the whole time that they're on. That's what they like to do. And there's ones that that are just such masters of the cheap heat, just the kings of cheap heat, that they can't just remain politicians. They have to go into entertainment. And I think that's the level right under Reagan. That's slightly less powerful than Reagan. And then of course under them, the least powerful kind is the kind that, have an unsuccessful media career. And then the best they can hope for is to be the bag man for some fucking horrible corporation or something.
Yeah.
Like, J.D. Vance. Like J.D. Vance, you shit out one lousy book about abandoning your family and friends in fucking Hicktown because they're going to get killed by heroin overdoses anyway, so that you can go out west and be a cool liberal and get bought by Peter Thiel and betray your class.
Right.
I mean, and they were just kind of dirty and nasty anyway, so it's not like it's that big a deal.
Right. You're like J.D. Vance. You write one book about some shit like that, and then you're like, damn, I guess I only had that one book in me. It's no welfare queen, but it's pretty good right-wing propaganda. Maybe this will get me somewhere. And then it really doesn't in media, and you have to, you have to become a senator, because you're not Rush fucking Limbaugh, for Christ's sakes. You're not, Alex Jones, for Christ's sakes. You had one tolerable.
You spent all of your material on your first big show. Like, you didn't spend years on the road developing your type 5.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
expanding a little bit, like just
You
doing
blew
road
your
work, doing crowd work.
you blew your wad on this fucking local boy does good by not being a local boy and betraying his class. You done this big thing. You blew your wad. They
And
put
that's
Glenn
it.
Close in the they put Glenn Close in the fucking movie. It's over for you, buddy. That's how popular that is. Everything you do is going to be less popular than that because it's not going to be that. That's what they wanted. You gave them what they wanted, which is an excuse to watch people die in rural communities. Um, and you did it. You did everything you were going to do already. You gave them
You
everything they wanted.
continued the impoverishment and immiseration
Mhm.
Good job.
of the entire community that you grew up with.
Yes.
Like, you made everything worse and not better.
Yes.
Congratulations. Where do you go from there?
Shout out to kids born there right now today who are just like you. Shout out to those kids. You gave them what they want. You shot the red meat cannon into their fucking mouths right on your first big thing. They put Glenn Close in the fucking movie. That's who you are now forever. Is over for you. So you got to go into politics. You got to go
That's
into
all that's
politics. You got to
left.
fucking say, yeah. Where so that's your three species of them, and it's not, it's not like they're equivalent. It is a hierarchy that functions like classifications of like Dungeons and Dragons monsters or whatever. Like Ronald Reagan is the boss of the campaign, and then the ones that go from politics to media are what do you call them? They're like greater orcs or whatever. And then you got your JD Vance, you got your little hobgoblins and fucking various kinds of goblins and fucking giant rats and shit.
Greater
That's what you got down there.
orcs.
Not cave trolls. I resist Lady Vance.
Well, I don't think creatures that like, sometimes those guys follow half the rules for beasts, sometimes those guys follow half the rules for humans. So there's ways around that, like, okay, you're not going to be able to use speak to animal, or like learn null language or whatever, like with some of these guys, okay? You're not going to be able to do that. But I think with those guys, I think with cave trolls, I don't know. Fetterman's not doing so good. But I think at least with cave trolls, you should have an avenue where you can get in there and you communicate in a way that's advantageous to the party and the party's goals.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm gonna fucking admit my mistake. I thought my large adult son, John Fetterman, I I didn't think that he was like gonna actually change anything.
Well, no, that
But
would be
I thought that he would at least be able to um withstand the awfulness. Like, I mean,
it would
and
have
no
control.
shit, like almost immediately it was like, oh, he's in Walter Reed for treatment of depression. And I'm like, well, absolutely. Because if you went down there and they're like, oh, here's how the sausage is made, and you didn't already know,
Oh
or
god.
like if you just couldn't possibly comprehend how bad it was, and then they told you,
Yeah.
like of course you should be hospitalized.
Yeah. You should go to the hospital
It's
first.
the other 99 members of the Senate
Yeah.
That I'm
who
concerned about.
are wrong.
They're not in a hospital right now.
Yeah.
Or that they weren't all psychiatrically hospitalized
Is that
after
why old Mitzi's
being
been
sworn
pausing?
in.
That's your first warning sign right there. Is that they
If
weren't.
you're not if you become a senator and then like a month later, like you're not in the hospital for like severe suicidal ideation, like you shouldn't even be allowed to have that post.
No.
That's why
Because
when
it means that
President,
you don't
Yeah,
understand the
fucked.
depth and gravity of how fucked everything is.
Yeah.
We all did.
Either
We all
that
have.
or you're a terrible person and you're psyched, in which case I also don't want you on the street, and you should be in a psychiatric hospital.
But
Um,
we all did think briefly that it would be nice. We all have a soft spot for cave trolls, all types of trolls and ogres. Like we all have a soft spot. There's a lot of
and also,
argument.
and he was when he was lieutenant governor. Like he did all the nice things.
I mean,
He seemed to be a solid guy, LG.
if you fail like a charisma check, okay, it's like a low charisma. If you fail like your charisma check, then yeah, sometimes trolls and ogres and sometimes they just smash you and eat your bones. But if you can pass a really easy charisma check, they can be some of your best friends and allies, really. Like, I mean, it always had a soft spot for cave trolls and ogres. It's not one that you can see coming. Like, nobody has a soft spot for giant rats, like the lowest form of the classification of D&D monsters. Nobody has a soft spot for giant rats. Everybody saw Pete Buttigieg coming a mile away. The
I do
lowest
kind of
form,
like rats, but not Pete.
the lowest form of, okay, I'm gonna parlay almost being a celebrity for being like a boy mayor. Like, I'm gonna parlay the smallest possible amount of celebrity you could have towards some kind of post mayoral media career. It's not gonna work out. I'm gonna go work for a big consultant. I'm gonna go run for president. Like all this stuff is like an unsuccessful pivot downwards that just never panned out for anybody that was involved in it. Like, God bless anybody that gave him, campaign money. Like, good on you. Sure, you're a sweet person, but like, Pete, like, that's the giant rat of the lexicon of politician / media whore
Pete's an
as
RUS. He's a rodent of unusual size.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Well, those were a little bigger. Okay, depending on like who is DMing the shit, giant rats could be like bigger or smaller than those. Fuck you guys. What time is it? Are we podcasting too much?
Yeah. Listen, it's all fine. We're just trying to outlast Mitch McConnell. That's all we're trying to do. We got a timeline. We're set.
Something.
I
Evelyn
think he said
Chow.
he was
Something.
he was gonna return to the Ark of the Covenant in 4 months or something. I don't know.
Got places to be.
He's got faces to melt. It's the usual. On that note,
we should play ourselves out.
Yeah. Listen, America, don't die. Don't do
Love
that
you
thing.
guys.
And other than that, y'all, it's been real.